Welcome to our channel, Gray Matters. We are two neurodivergent ladies who fixate and need to share, and we've created this channel to do just that. Check out our podcast, Fixate Today, Gone Tomorrow, for some deeper dives. Welcome to Fixate Today, Gray Matters. Throughout the investigation of Micah's death, we've learned about the various people who are either notaries public themselves or connected to a notary. Let's talk about it. Becoming a notary in South Carolina is pretty simple. You just complete an application and send it to the county delegation office along with a $25 fee. You must be a registered voter and provide your voter registration number. You then purchase your notary seal and, if you want, a logbook and notary insurance. Once your county delegation sends you your commission certificate, you forward that along to your county clerk's office along with another payment of $10. Training is offered but is not required. Also not required is taking an exam before becoming a certified notary. There aren't many things that prohibit someone from becoming a certified notary in South Carolina, but being declared mentally incompetent via a court order will prevent you from obtaining your notary license. Notarized documents have been spoken about frequently in Micah's case. The who, when, where, why, and how of each notarized document is incredibly important. Let's talk about the known notaries in this case. First, Micah herself had just become a licensed notary in January 2024. We know that JP knew Micah had become a notary. JP had been harassing Micah at her job as a restaurant server. Making extra money as a notary would have allowed her to avoid having to work a regular schedule, making it more difficult for JP to know where she was. Micah simply needed the extra money as well. When Micah was hospitalized in February 2024, JP had acquired her notary stamp. She told police that the stamp was in the car that JP took from her when she was involuntarily hospitalized. It was one of the items, including the car itself, her phone, and her wallet, that he was in possession of and refusing to return. In one police report, Micah does say she gave JP permission to take her purse while they were at the hospital, but she did so while under heavy sedation.
Hi, I'd like to report a stolen public notary stamp and log.
Okay, and what is your address?
From these 911 calls, we hear Micah express her fear that JP would fraudulently use the notary stamp as a means of forging her name on a post-nuptial document JP had written up. She reiterated that she wasn't worried about her stuff. She was worried about JP impersonating her with the stamp and her phone. Micah was so worried about this, she emailed the South Carolina Secretary of State to alert them to the stolen stamp and her fear that JP would use it to forge her signature. This brings us to some slightly confusing but important legal stuff. Solid Rock Church was a registered 501c3, even though in South Carolina, a church doesn't actually have to file as a 501c3 to be recognized as one, as long as they meet specific requirements. The Dare to Care missions, the charity Micah began under the church, was not a designated 501c3 because it was under the umbrella of the church. One of the stipulations in the post-nuptial agreement was that JP would remain owner of Solid Rock Church, but Micah would be in charge of Dare to Care. This means that Micah would have to figure out a way to get Dare to Care out from under Solid Rock and make it its own nonprofit organization. This could possibly be another way that JP pretended to show care for Micah, but actually kept her entangled with him. In August of this year, an affidavit was released in probate court in Horry County. This affidavit was signed by a therapist named Faith Green and was a document that was a part of another attempt to get Micah involuntarily hospitalized. In South Carolina, the person who signs this type of document must see the behavior of the person the document is about. Faith Green has since admitted she signed the document because JP wouldn't leave until she did. If this is the case, she did not actually witness any of the unstable behavior described in the affidavit and signed it anyway. The affidavit is riddled with misspellings and grammatical errors. The document appears to have been notarized by Katrina K. Presley. Katrina is the director of the South Strand location of the Waccamaw Mental Health Center, the one JP was trying to send Micah. I don't know the legalities of this, but it feels improper that the director of the clinic is notarizing documents pertaining to their place of employment. But there's something else strange about the notary stamp. There appear to be two stamps. One is faded, and all you can make out is the year 2021 from the stamp. The other is the current stamp with the appropriate date, 2024. Could Katrina have gotten an old notary stamp and accidentally used that first? Or did a former notary use an expired stamp and JP realized that legally wouldn't work? Lastly, let's talk about JP's attorney and member of Solid Rock Church, Tom Winslow. Despite Tom's incredibly successful career as a family attorney, the description on his Facebook page includes the title of Notary. This seems curious, as being a notary isn't necessarily as prestigious of a title as the other roles Tom has in the world of South Carolina law. But when you see this, and you know about the swirling rumors that Tom allegedly accepts $500 from people for fraudulent notary services, it makes sense that notary is prominent in his Facebook description. Let's discuss Micah's power of attorney document, which was signed in 2022, but wasn't filed until just before her death in 2024. The power of attorney was signed by Tom Winslow and witnessed by one of his employees, Tiffany Marsh, on November 28, 2022. This date should be familiar, as it is the date that Micah was voluntarily hospitalized, the one JP attempted to stop. However, Micah's signature is dated December 5, 2022, meaning she signed the document after Tom and Tiffany claimed to have witnessed her signing the document. Texts given to myrtlebeachsc.com state that the document was signed on December 4th, 2022 at Solid Rock Church, still a different date than what the document states. Mistakes happen, but this seems more sinister than simply using the wrong date. There's a lot to unpack about the weird notary links to this case, and I think this will be one of those puzzle pieces that makes sense once we know what actually happened to Micah. Fraud is on the periphery of each of these notaries, and that should be investigated. Thanks for joining.